Hi, hello, welcome. It is a Monday morning and I've got a fun video for you today trying a couple of new makeup items. I'm also going to start doing my makeup. We can continue chatting all the while because, you know, at some point I need to get to work. I'm going to take the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. So I realized as I was going through my makeup ordering history on Pat McGrath Labs' website that I haven't ordered anything from Pat since December last year, which is really wild because there was a time when I think every other month or so I would place an order either of something old or because Pat has released something new and exciting. And she hasn't really released anything new and exciting. Apparently, well, new and exciting to me she hasn't released since the Queens, the holiday Queens from last year, because the purchase that I made in December was, I want to say, a Black Friday purchase or some sort of a sale. I'm, by the way, going to take a little bit of the Auric Glow Lust because I haven't really slept. I haven't been sleeping very well the past couple of nights and I feel like my under eyes are a little bit dry, so I'm going to help them out a bit. I think my last order was actually the Chartreuse liquid eyeshadow, which I ordered on a whim, thinking that it will be similar to the Chartreuse shade from Divine Droid. They are not, by the way, not even remotely. For my foundation today I'm going to take the NARS Light Reflecting in the shade The Veil. The last thing I purchased from Pat was not at all a new release. And after that she had the Valentine's Day collection, and I want to say there was no epic spring release this year. So there was really nothing to look forward to or be excited about. And the newest thing she has released and what I purchased were additions to the cream blush shade range from last year. And while I thought that was an okay release, I wasn't like overly excited about it. I was, you know, lukewarmly happy that we're getting new shades and I can buy some shades from that range which I have, you know, been hoping that you would release. So I got a duo of Alluring Nude and Divine Rose Glow because I figured they're the types of cream blush shades that I don't really have in my collection right now, and it's also one of the reasons that I don't really use much cream blushes throughout the winter. Most of the cream blushes that I own from Pat, either from Pat or from Victoria Beckham, those are the two brands that I have cream blushes from, are not really in like neutral shade offerings. For my concealer I'm going to take my beloved Skin Correct from Dior in the shade 1N. And aside from the two new cream blushes, I did actually purchase one of the Valentine's Day lipsticks. So when the Valentine's Day collection was released, and I think I talked about it also in a video, that the item I was the most excited about was actually one of the lipsticks. Potentially both of the lipsticks, but in the end I figured one of the lipsticks might be too nude for me. But there was one shade, Nude Nocturne, which spoke to me immediately, and I knew that once that shade goes on sale, I'm probably going to get it. It still wasn't dirt cheap. I think eventually people were able to buy Rouge 8, the Valentine's Day offering from last year. No, that was not Valentine's Day, that was Chinese New Year, excuse me, Lunar New Year. I absolutely love Rouge 8, I've talked about it so much on my channel, it's one of my favorite purchases from last year. But eventually it went on sale. I want to say that at one point you could get Rouge 8 for like 12 euros or something of the sorts. Nude Nocturne is not quite as discounted yet, it was 28 euros, which is, you know, not dirt cheap, but also not 41 or what the original price of these lipsticks is. Sticking with Dior, I'm going to take the Backstage powder in the shade 2N, and I'm actually considering just retiring this powder because it's getting very difficult to get product out of it due to the fact that it is mostly gone. There's just a little bit left at the very edges of the pan, which makes, you know, taking product from the pan quite complicated. So I think maybe after this week I'm going to retire this powder and just go greedily into my Hourglass powder, which has been sitting in my drawers for about a month or so now. I'm going to quickly do my brows with the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax. So it is safe to say that even though I am quite excited for these new shades of the cream blushes, because I personally really like the cream blushes from Pat McGrath Labs, I know they were met with a little bit of a mixed response. Some people didn't like them, some people loved them. I personally enjoyed them from the very first moment I put them on my face. If you go back to my video on these cream blushes from last summer, you will see that I instantaneously loved the formula. They look very natural on the skin. They have a little bit of dew to them, but they're not, let's put it that way. They're the type of formula that you can apply in such a manner that they can look very dewy, or you can apply them in a manner in which they are semi-dewy, but they're, you know, not overly shiny, but they're also not a flat matte. And at least on my skin, just by themselves, they actually last pretty well, especially for a cream product. I don't think I've ever come home after a whole day of wearing these and thought, well, my blush is completely gone. Yes, it has faded, but it's never really truly completely gone. So I find them overall to be a really good product. The packaging is obviously a little bit on like the cheapy side. I think we've talked about that as well. I'm not someone who particularly minds to mix like textures on my face, but I do prefer to stick to either powders or creams if I can make a good color match. So for my bronzer today, I am going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Sunkissed bronzer in the shade 2 Medium to bronze the face up a little bit before we go into the two new blushes. So the blushes have an exceptionally cheap plastic packaging. They are not gonna win prizes for luxury, but they're such an exceptional formula, and given that their price for Pat McGrath Labs standards is rather on the affordable side, I think they probably compromised on the packaging in order to get these blushes to be somewhat cheaper. But anyway, they are a solid formula, and I was excited to see these new colors. I just wasn't like overly excited. I just don't feel like that pure joy and excitement when I see the inspiration or coming soon on Pat McGrath's Instagram anymore. Sad but true. Did any of you guys pick up any of these new shades? There is one other shade in that range that is absolutely glorious, and if it weren't for the fact that I already have the powder version and a cream blush version of it from Victoria Beckham, I would probably have bought it. She has released a shade that is basically the cream blush version of Electric Bloom, and Electric Bloom is one of like my favorite shades from the powder blush collection from Pat. I absolutely love it. It is so punchy, so vibrant, so summery, so fresh, so enlivening on the skin. But I purchased the shade Fever from like the cheeky posh cream blushes from Victoria Beckham, which is essentially Electric Bloom in a cream blush formula. So I figured there's really no need for me to have two cream blushes in that shade, because that's just overkill. So I decided to skip on those, and I picked up the two more neutral shades. Let's get into those now. So that actually brings the total number of cream blushes that I have from Pat McGrath to 4. We can start by just quickly swatching on the back of my hand the shades that I already have, which are Peach Lotus, which is this beautiful sort of like apricot peachy pink, not coral, but a peachy pink. Gorgeous shade, I love this. Then what is probably my favorite out of the bunch so far. This is the shade Sunkissed Seduction, which is a gorgeous terracotta. Absolutely beautiful. I love this shade. And then the two new shades, like I said, are Alluring Nude and Divine Rose Glow. I did actually already wear Alluring Nude a couple of days ago, and I absolutely freaking love it. Look what a gorgeous neutral shade that is. Let me give it a quick swatch here on the back of my hand. As you can see, it has a little bit more of like a rosy undertone. It is not cool toned, and that is the thing that was so confusing about purchasing this blush. In some photos it almost looked like a cool toned brown mauve, and in other photos it looked like this. So it was impossible to know which way this is going to go. So I was hoping that it would go in this direction here, because a cool toned brown mauve would have looked like dirt on me. So this is just your good old, you know, sort of like a nude peach with slightly pink undertones to it. It's almost like a nuder version of Peach Lotus. It looks really beautiful on the skin. I really enjoyed it the other day. And the shade that I haven't worn yet is the shade Divine Rose Glow, which looks like a somewhat neutral toned rosy shade, which is actually what I'm hoping for this to be a little bit, because I didn't really have a cream blush shade in this color. This is beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted, like a neutral rosy shade. Now, since I don't think anyone will notice, I'm going to do one of my cheeks with Alluring Nude and the other one with Divine Rose Glow so that we can try both. I am going to work, but I sincerely doubt any of my colleagues are going to catch that I'm wearing two different colors of blush. So I think I can get away with trying both of them for you. As you can see, these are in fact quite a balmy, you know, shiny type formula. But like I said, you can apply them on the skin to look exactly like this, or you can tone them down a little bit. So the way you can go about this is you can either apply them directly from the stick onto your face and then very gently dab with your finger, and that will result in an application that is much more in the range of this sort of shininess, so to speak. They will be more dewy if you apply them that way. Now, because I have somewhat more oily skin, like throughout the day I'm going to get quite a bit of oils coming through to my skin, I prefer to apply these with a very dense brush like this one. This is a dense synthetic brush from Spectrum Collections. My favorite kind of brush to apply cream products with. And what happens if you apply the product with such a dense brush is that some of the like oils or waxes or whatever it is that makes this formula so shiny gets absorbed by the bristles of the brush, and what goes onto your skin is actually much more like a semi-dewy finish. They're not a flat matte, but they're also not extremely shiny. So that's something that I really enjoy about this formula, that you can really play around with how you want them to look on the skin. So let me zoom in just a little bit. There you go. And I'm going to go into the shade Alluring Nude. I usually just go straight into the applicator because the applicator is big enough and I feel like I can apply the product still quite evenly on the skin. Okay, and this is the shade Alluring Nude. Alluring Nude is gorgeous. I'm going to get so much use out of this blush. It's reminding me maybe a little bit of Nude Venus from the powder blush formula, in the sense that it's the kind of shade that if you don't really know what kind of color of blush you want to go for, you go for a shade like Alluring Nude because it will literally look good with everything. I really like this shade. It definitely doesn't lean cool toned at all. If anything, I would say it is more on the, I don't know, warmer side than it really is on the cooler side. But it is perfect. It is what I wanted it to look like on my skin tone. If you have a different undertone of your skin, I don't know how that's going to translate. So if you have tried this and you have a very cool toned like undertone of your skin, please do let me know what you think about Alluring Nude. And then on the other side, let's be ballsy. Let's try Divine Rose Glow. This one I actually haven't worn yet. And hopefully it's coming across on camera, but because I'm applying this with this dense brush, they do not have that much shine. Like, there's a little bit of glow going on, but there's really not that much like shine coming through. And I've got a hair stuck on my cheek. Fantastic. So to recap, on this side I've got Alluring Nude, and on this side I've got Divine Rose Glow. I really like both of them. In particular, Alluring Nude, I'm going to use the crap out of that shade. But also, Divine Rose Glow is so nice. It's just a beautiful neutral rose. I really like this shade too. I actually like both of them. Really happy. I am stoked. These are gorgeous. I'm going to quickly apply a little bit of a cream highlight. I don't have a cream highlight from Pat McGrath, so I'm going to grab my favorite one, which is the cream highlight from Victoria Beckham in the shade Pearl. And I like to apply this with a little sponge applicator here. This is a mini Real Techniques sponge. Alright, and I do actually have something new for the eyes that I wanted to share with you. It is a bit of a spontaneous purchase that I made in store the other day. I was in town with my son and then we were just having an absolute blast. And I walked past one of the makeup stores. They were having a 25% off sale because of Mother's Day, which was yesterday. In fact, the whole reason we went into store is because I wanted to swatch that new Chanel bronzer, the one with the 3 stripes of bronzer, blush and highlighter. I swatched that. I was not overly impressed. I was not in love. I swatched it twice. Like, I swatched it, I removed it, and then I started doubting. I went back to swatch it again, and I looked at my hand and I thought, this looks just like a generic, like, warm bronzer. It's not really doing anything for me, so I'm just going to walk out of the store without it. But then, last minute, I decided to walk to the Dior stand, and for whatever reason, I was compelled to swatch some more of the Couleur eyeshadows. So if you guys remember, last year I purchased Beige Mita. Beige Mita is one of their most popular single eyeshadows. Ironically, when I bought it, I had no idea that this shade already has a cult status. I sort of walked into store, I swatched it, I fell hopelessly in love, and I thought, why on earth is no one talking about this eyeshadow? And then it turned out that everyone is talking about this eyeshadow, I just didn't know about it. The shade Beige Mita is gorgeous. It has the most amazing texture to it that is very difficult for me to describe. Just look at this. Look how beautiful, creamy and shiny this is. So the Dior Couleur eyeshadows, they come in different sort of finishes. You have the metallics. For example, Beige Mita is a metallic. You have satins and you have glittery eyeshadows. I don't own any of the glittery eyeshadows. The two new eyeshadows that I bought are, I want to say one of them is in the old formula and one of them is reformulated. And I also want to say that they've released new shades, but I don't think I picked up any of the new shades. And you can also see just by looking at the outside packaging that this is their new, like, reformulated version, because the Dior logo is all in capital letters. And the shade that I purchased is Rose Tulle. And Rose Tulle is this beautiful, gorgeous, neutral rosy shade. Let me swatch that for you. This is how the shade looks like on my finger. And it is like, I don't feel like this is a different formula compared to Beige Mita. Like, they feel the same to me. So if they've been reformulated, personally, I cannot really feel the difference between these and Beige Mita, and they're supposedly, you know, the same formula. So at least I cannot right now detect any sort of difference between these two shades. This is gorgeous. This is like a it almost has a little bit of like a bronzy base to it, but it is such a beautiful neutral rosy shade. I don't usually like pinks, but I really like pinks which are like this. They have a little bit more like depth to them, but they're also quite neutral in tone. This is gorgeous. And the eyeshadow that I purchased, which I think is still in the old formulation because it also has the small letters here, is one that I've actually been thinking about for a really long time. This is the shade, what is this called again? This is the shade 280 Lucky Clover, and surprise, surprise, it is a green. Who is surprised? Now, this shade has a different texture to it. This is a satin, and you can also see just by looking at it on my finger that it has slightly bit more of a powdery finish to it, and when I apply it on the skin it doesn't have as much shine as Beige Mita and Rose Tulle. You can clearly tell that this is much more of like a satin finish. I think this is going to look gorgeous as like a liner or as a little bit of a base on the eyelids, and just slightly blend it out with something like shimmery or glittery over top. I am actually quite excited to use this shade because I haven't actually used it yet. So I might incorporate the green shade as a little lower lash line accent, but if you would like to see a look with this shade, then I might actually come back and do a look with the green and Beige Mita again, because the two of these make actually a really beautiful combination. But anyway, these are expensive because they are single eyeshadows from Dior. I realized that. I don't know what to tell you. I went into store, I was possessed by an evil spirit, and I walked out with two new Dior eyeshadows. So let's leave it at that. I've zoomed you in a little bit and I'm going to start applying Rose Tulle. I'm going to apply Rose Tulle as a one and done eyeshadow essentially, because what I love doing with both Beige Mita and this shade, I've already worn this shade twice on the same day because I had to redo my makeup and I just wanted to wear this shade again. But I like to use them as one and dones, and I just use a nice fluffy brush just going into the eyeshadow, and as you can see, it is the type of formula that doesn't really have any powder kick up. It is a very like creamy emollient type texture, so there is no fallout. With the green eyeshadow, because it feels a little bit more powdery, there's definitely a little bit more of fallout. But I like these sort of shades because they have a somewhat like a hint of darkness in the base color, So when you apply them on your lids as a one and done, they have a little bit of dimensionality. So on your lids, when the light hits it just in the right way, you can see that beautiful shine. And then when you turn your head towards the outer corner, it does look a little bit deeper in tone. They're so easy to use as one and done eyeshadows. I think they're also absolutely perfect for traveling. Like if you're going to go away for a night or two and you don't want to pack palettes or quads, you can just take one or two of these eyeshadows along with you and you are basically set. Now if I don't have too much time, I will just use an eyeshadow like this on its own. I'll put a little bit of inner corner highlight, put it also on my lower lash line, call it a day with a bit of mascara. But if I do have time, which is the case today, I am going to go a little bit extra. I will usually apply something a little bit more sparkly over top of an eyeshadow like this, so either one of my toppers from Pat or one of my liquid eyeshadows. And today I want to actually try one of my liquid eyeshadows. This one is from Pat McGrath. This is one of my favorites. It is the shade Luna Rose. And Luna Rose also has these beautiful like neutral pink tones to it, but it is just a little bit brighter and it has quite a good amount of shine and sparkle to it. So I think it's going to pair so incredibly beautifully with the shade Tulle, Rose Tulle from Dior. You can also just see by holding them next to each other that they're quite nicely complementary to each other. And I basically use the same brush for that. I don't even fuss around with taking another sort of brush. Oh, these two look so beautiful together. I absolutely love this. Now for my inner corners, I'm actually going to take just a little bit of highlighter. I'm going to take this one from Nabla. This is the shade Ozone, which is just a nice, you know, neutral champagne sort of shade. It would work beautifully with pretty much any look. Let's apply a little bit of the green because I'm just very curious about it, but I don't think it is the ideal way for you to see it. But you know, it is a way for us to apply this shade today. So I'm going to just run a tiny bit of Lucky Clover here underneath my lower lashes. I'm going to keep it very close to the lash line, and I don't want to apply too much because I don't want it to, for the look to go in a very like dark and dramatic direction. I want to keep it light and airy. However, now I feel like something is missing from my upper lashes. So in fact, I'm going to take a little bit of a black eyeshadow. So I'm just going to take this one from Pat. This is the shade Dark Matter. And I'm going to apply a bit of Dark Matter right here at the very outer edge of the eye. And I'm going to smoke it out, because again, I don't want it to like overtake the look. I don't want this to become quite dramatic and dark. And I'm just going to lightly blend it here close to the lashes, just to give a bit of definition and to look a little bit more cohesive with the dark green on the lower lashes, because otherwise it looks a little bit strange. I can't think of a better opportunity to use Night Forest, one of the Seamless Glide eye pencils from Lisa Eldridge. So I'm going to pop that here onto my waterline, because it kind of matches perfectly with the shade Lucky Clover from Dior. And I'm also gently setting that pencil with the powder eyeshadow, so that it sticks around my waterline a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to apply mascara and I will be back to show you the lipstick. Mascara is on, let's take a look at the lipstick. So this is the shade Nude Nocturne. And Nude Nocturne has that really beautiful design on the bullet again, just like Rouge 8 last year. Just for comparison, I wanted to show you Rouge 8. Now Rouge 8 has the advantage that it also came housed in this beautiful red limited edition packaging, but again it has the gorgeous design on the bullet. So the reason I purchased the lipstick wasn't really the design on it. The design just like added to the allure, but it was really the shade. This is beautiful. Now, this is described on Pat's website as a terracotta rosy nude. And honestly, that is exactly what it is. I already wore this lipstick once, and I was trying to come up with like good descriptions of the shade, and then I went on the website, I read the shade description, and I thought, well, that's actually pretty spot on. So a little tip that I wanted to give you: I usually struggle majorly with Pat's lipsticks because the swatches on her website look nothing like real life. However, reading the shade description is usually a much more accurate representation of what color you're getting than the actual like lip swatches on her website. So if you're ever in doubt, just read the short description of the color because that is usually much more indicative of what exactly you're going to be getting. Now I'm first going to line my lips a little bit with this pencil from Lisa Eldridge. This is one of her new Sculpt and Shade lip pencils. This one is in the shade 1N. Now, I don't know what you think, but I think the lipstick is absolutely beautiful. It has a terracotta tones to it, but it also has that rosiness. And that's really the part that surprised me because I had sort of expected it to be a warmer terracotta shade. And then I put it on and I thought, it's actually not just a terracotta, it has like a slightly rosy tone to it. And then I read the shade description and I thought, exactly, spot on. This is exactly the color that she has described on the website. It is gorgeous, I really like it. You guys know I love my deeper nudes, I love my terracotta nudes, so this is such a welcome addition to my collection because it is a terracotta but a more neutral rosy leaning terracotta. So that makes this shade so like special and unique in my collection. I really love it. So I'm back for just a few minutes because I didn't really have time to do it in the morning. I'm now back from work and that's why the lighting looks different, and it might be that my makeup looks a little bit more worn in, but also, hey, a really nice check-in. Blush is still on. I didn't even reapply my lipstick after lunch. I had to run to pick up Nicola from school. So hey, makeup longevity on point. But we are here to do just a couple of comparison swatches of Nude Nocturne with a couple of other lipsticks that I have in my collection that I'm personally very curious how it compares to. So I have a couple of browns here and I'm first going to swatch Nude Nocturne right here for you. And then I'm going to pull out the shade that I feel like in terms of its tone might be the most similar, but I think is possibly just a little bit deeper in tone, and that would be Decade from Lisa Eldridge. I feel like I can detect some similarities between the two. Okay, Decade is indeed deeper in tone, but it is also somewhat like cooler, more mauve in tone, whereas this is more neutral in tone. It has that like beautiful pink tone to it. So that was the first comparison. Then I quickly want to swatch against Velvet Sorcery from Lisa Eldridge. I don't think they're going to be similar, but I do think that it is a shade that might potentially raise questions because it reminds me a little bit of it. Oh, what do you know? They're actually more similar than I anticipated. However, I still think this has more like that purple mauve tone, like that grungy tone, which I don't think is present in Nude Nocturne. Nude Nocturne really is like a rosy terracotta shade. Sorcery, especially on the lips, has a bit of grunge to it. This doesn't have any sort of grunge, in my opinion. Let's take a look at a shade that might be similar, but is in a different formula. This is Painterly by Lisa Eldridge. It is in her Lucent formula. And why did I think that swatching on my knuckle would be the best place to swatch? Alright, I removed the dumb swatch that I put here on my knuckle and I put Painterly right here. I feel like Painterly maybe is in the same tones, similarly like chocolate, similarly a bit more pink toned, you know, kind of in the same vein. Same but different. I think Painterly still is a different shade. And a lipstick that is actually new to my collection, this is Eliza Ginger from Gucci. I'm actually very curious how this one compares because I think they're similar, but Eliza Ginger will possibly be a little bit warmer. And I'm going to put it right here in, you know, adjacent to my knuckles, but not on my knuckles. Yay me. So this is Nude Nocturne and this is Eliza Ginger from Gucci. And as I thought, this is just a tiny bit warmer, still neutral, but a tiny bit warmer, whereas Nude Nocturne has just this really super cool and interesting pink tone to it. I love it. I don't know what it is about that pink undertone of Nude Nocturne that mesmerizes me so much. It slightly like almost softens up, softens down the color, if that's a thing. Anyway, I don't know if you know what I mean. But here are all the lipsticks that I thought might be similar in my collection. yet I think I don't really have anything quite like Nude Nocturne. I'm really happy with this shade. I'm basically really happy with my Pat McGrath Labs purchase. The cream blush shade's gorgeous, the lipstick beautiful. I'm also really happy with the Dior eyeshadows. I can't really say much more than, you know, they're exactly what I expected them to be, because I already have beige mica, so I kind of knew what to expect from Rose Tulle. Something that I forgot to mention, and it's not going to come across because of my lighting right now, but the two satin shades, so the shade Rose Tulle and beige mica, they are not just a flat metallic. Like, in the pan right now it looks metallic. If I swatch it, it has a beautiful sheen on it, but if you look at these under like strong artificial lighting, they actually have like a fair amount of twinkle in them. We are in my laundry room. The lengths we would go through to show you some sparkle. This is Rose Tulle and this is beige mica under artificial lighting. They're very beautiful and very dimensional. That's not the case for the green eyeshadow, by the way, because it is a different finish. It is not meant to be sparkly. This really is like just a satin with like a little bit of green shimmer in it, but like a very toned down green shimmer in it. But the shade Rose Tulle and beige mica under artificial lighting have a fair amount of sparkle too, which unfortunately with this lighting right now I cannot possibly show you. And you know, right now I have also added the Pat McGrath liquid eyeshadow, so there's really no point in me shining an artificial light on this look for you to enjoy. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this little get ready with me, testing out some new products. I'm really happy with everything that I purchased. Let me know what your thoughts are. Have you picked up any of these monocolor eyeshadows from Dior? Did you pick up any of the new cream blushes from Pat? Did you get Nude Nocturne? And what do you think about it? Can't wait to chat with you in the comments. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!